I've recently asked the subscribers on this channel how long they've been investing in a Roth IRA, and the highest percentage was less than 1 year, with the second one being they don't even have an account. Well, it's about time to change that. So Roth IRAs became available to the public in 1998 and have since then become one of the most popular and powerful retirement accounts that you can have to build wealth for your retirement. And for those that are completely new, a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account that allows you to withdraw from your account once you're at the age of at least 59 and a half, completely tax-free. And yeah, you heard that right. No taxes at all when you withdraw, and that is keyword legally. And just to mention, when it comes to investing in a Roth IRA, the most you can contribute to the account is called the contribution limit, and that is $6,500 if you are under 50, and then $7,500 if you are above, which these numbers tend to increase with time. And an additional note for you is that the contribution limit is combined between both a Roth and traditional IRA if you decide to use both of these accounts. Now, just so you're aware, because this is an individual account, you have the control to invest into whatever investments you want, like stocks, bonds, or other securities that interest you. Or if you're someone that doesn't care or want to control your own investments, even though you could learn everything from watching my videos, you could get a robo-advisor for a small fee, and they would automatically build a portfolio for you. Now, I am going to explain everything you need to know about the robo-advisors for each of the accounts I'm about to show you, so you can have a comparison and decide further. But if you're someone that isn't satisfied by that or controlling your own investments, then you may be someone that needs to contact a financial advisor. But the difference between a Roth IRA and a regular brokerage account is, first off, the amount that you are able to contribute, there is a limit on. And secondly, that you are required to pay taxes on the contribution up front so that you never have to pay it again afterwards, even if your portfolio grows significantly. So if you have at least a few years ahead of you, a Roth IRA can be one of the best decisions you can make for your financial future. Now, I've recently created many videos breaking down a Roth IRA to a traditional, and even how this can make you a tax-free millionaire, which I highly recommend you check out after this video, because Roth IRAs are extremely important to build up for retirement. And as always, don't forget to hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, as it shows this video to more people that may greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, let's get straight into it with the 3 best places you can start a Roth IRA today, with the first being Fidelity. Fidelity is a brokerage firm I've discussed plenty of times on my channel, as they are one of the largest in the world by having over 43 million individual investors and $11.7 trillion in assets under management. Now, I've used Fidelity for several years, and it is where I personally have my own Roth IRA. And although I'm not affiliated with Fidelity or any of the other companies discussed in this video, Fidelity, if you are watching, I am definitely interested. But what's unique about Fidelity and all the other options I'm discussing in this video is that they have their own index-based mutual funds. This is extremely important to have because index funds are passively managed, extremely cheap, have historically achieved great results for investors, and you can easily set automatic investments with them. In fact, their automatic investments are awesome because you can choose what specific investments you want to purchase, which account you want the cash flowing from, and lastly, the frequency that you want this to do, such as every month or every quarter, for example. But a feature that you've probably never seen before is that with their index-based mutual funds, you can have your dividends automatically sent to a different fund. For this case, I have a Total International fund sending all of its dividends that it earns directly to invest in the S&P 500 index fund that I own. And below, you can see the option to do this with capital gains when you sell, and even below that, you can select for all of your Fidelity index mutual funds to do the functions I just explained, but to do it all at once. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are many index mutual funds they offer which cost you nearly a fraction of a percent, but if that doesn't interest you enough, they were also the first company to offer zero-fee index funds. These are index funds that cost you nothing. And although they only have 4 options, which are the large cap FNILX, extended market FZIPX, Total Market FZ-ROX, and International Fund FZILX, this may be the deciding factor over other options. Like I said, these options cost 0 fees, and the regular index mutual funds are extremely small, so the performance and the comparison between them both is extremely similar, which I made an entire video breaking down the differences. But for example, the S&P 500 index fund on Fidelity has a ticker symbol of FXAIX, and that is an expense ratio, which is the cost it takes to own the fund per year, of 0.015%, and their international fund is FTIHX that costs 0.06%, which is pretty much nothing for what you're getting. But like I said earlier, if you don't want to manage your own Roth IRA, you can use Fidelity Go, which is a way Fidelity manages for you using a robo-advisor. And by doing this, there are no advisory fees if you have a balance under 25K, but once you pass that, they will charge 0.35%, including unlimited one-on-one calls. And to mention, you can do this starting with $0. But to explain how this works, which is pretty similar for every account, when you go to sign up, you are going to be filling out questions, and based off that, the company is going to build a portfolio for you. So depending on how you fill out your questions, you could be placed with being more aggressive or more conservative, and based on that, the robo-advisor will allocate the assets to factor your personal risk tolerance. Now, this is just a brief overview of the company, but if you want to get started, I will have links in the description below this video to get you directly to signing up on a Roth IRA for each account, which, as I mentioned, none of these companies I'm affiliated with. I truly just went with what I believe are the best options for you. So if that is worth hitting the subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. And for those that are thinking to use Fidelity, if you want to learn more about how to start and invest, I highly recommend you check out my Fidelity Roth IRA video. Moving on from there, the second best place to start a Roth IRA, in my opinion, is Vanguard. Vanguard is a company I've recently discussed on my channel because their ETFs are some of my favorite ones to invest in. The company has 430 funds, over 50 million investors compared to Fidelity's 43, but also has a $7.2 trillion in assets under management. Now, although I use Fidelity's Roth IRA, Vanguard is a highly respected firm that many people prefer to use. And just like Fidelity, Vanguard has their own index-based mutual funds that you can only invest into on their platform unless you want to pay an unnecessary fee, and why would you do that? Now, popular examples of Vanguard's index mutual funds include the Vanguard 500 Index Fund, ticker symbol VFIAX, which resembles the S&P 500 and has an expense ratio of 0.04%. The biggest difference between Vanguard and Fidelity is that Vanguard requires a minimum investment amount of $3,000 into their index-based mutual funds. But another example is Vanguard's Total International Stock Index Fund, ticker VTIAX, that tracks stock markets all over the globe besides the US, which this comes at a 0.11% expense ratio and has the $3,000 minimum as discussed. Now, besides their index-based mutual funds, they're also extremely popular for their ETFs, which some of the most popular ones include the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF VOO with a 0.03 expense ratio. Then there is their Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF VTI, also with a 0.03 expense ratio, and another Total International Stock ETF that is VXUS at a 0.07% expense ratio. Now, ETFs and index funds have a few differences, which I made an entire video on, but truthfully, the difference comes down to your personal preference. To me, I prefer index funds in all of my non-taxable accounts and then ETFs in all of my taxable accounts. This is because ETFs are more tax efficient, as you have much more control over what you have to pay in taxes. Now, as I said earlier, you can control your own account unless you get a robo-advisor or a financial advisor to help you out. But with Vanguard's digital advisor feature, you need a minimum $3,000 invested to enroll, and this will provide you with ongoing support as far as monitoring and rebalancing your portfolio, low-cost investing, as they state for every $1,000 you will pay no more than $2, which is 0.2%, and then potential tax reductions where they can help take advantage of tax loss harvesting. And if that doesn't sound good enough for you, you can get your first 90 days trying out the robo-advisor with no advisory fees. And to show you their estimated cost, if you were to invest $50,000, they would take no more than $100 from fees. Now, I personally control mine and believe that simple index fund investing can bring you tremendous wealth over time, but if you don't want to watch all my free content on YouTube that can teach you everything, then this is definitely an easy route that isn't super costly to you. It's just that to me, when you're building a portfolio, the fees will add up, so reducing the amount of expenses you have on your investment over time, compound interest will play a major role, and you'll have much more than you actually would think. Let me just give you an example and say you achieve a 10% average annual return over the long term and you invest $6,500 every year. That means that after 30 years, you would have nearly $1.176 million while only contributing $195,000. Where if you were to invest with an expensive, actively managed mutual fund or a robo-advisor, which isn't too expensive, or a financial advisor, the fees will add up, and let's just say that on average, you are to save by not doing this 0.5%. Doesn't seem like much. But if you reduce that by 0.5%, you would miss out on a potential $111,000 in potential tax-free gains. And even worse, let's just say that you have a financial advisor that charges you 1% per year. That means you would be missing out on $211,000. Could you imagine having an additional $200,000 at retirement because you watched a few of my videos in your free time? And what's crazy is because of the power of compound interest, the longer you let your money work for you, the more it will make you. Just because it's so fun to look at statistics, if you did this for 40 years, your account would have $3.16 million tax-free. And yes, there are a few factors to consider like inflation, but why not set yourself up for the best retirement possible? But as far as Vanguard, if you're interested to sign up, I will have a link in the description below of this video for each company. Moving on from there, the number 3 account on my list is Charles Schwab. So Charles Schwab was founded in 1973, and as of March 2023, they have $7.38 trillion in assets under management. With Charles Schwab, you also have a large range of investments to choose from, like stocks, bonds, their own ETFs, and of course, their own index-based mutual funds. They also display their zero commission fees on their ETFs and mutual funds, but as I said earlier, you should not invest into other brokerage mutual funds because they state if you do, there will be up to a $75 charge for each purchase. And then as far as requirements, Charles Schwab also has no account minimums for you to start a Roth IRA. And for Charles Schwab, some of their most popular index mutual funds that you could consider purchasing would be their S&P 500 index fund, ticker SWPPX, that has an expense ratio of 0.02%. Then they have their Schwab Total Stock Market Index Fund, ticker SWTSX, that costs 0.03% per year, which like all these is literally nothing. And another interesting option is their Schwab International Index Fund, ticker SWISX, that costs you 0.06%. And for those that are curious, there are bond index funds, and one of Charles Schwab's would be the Schwab US Aggregate Bond Index Fund, ticker SWAGX, at 0.04% of an expense. So this company also has a robo-advisor if you don't want to control your own, and theirs is called the Schwab Intelligent Portfolios, where they automatically invest your money based on your input. If you are serious to learn more about this, they have a 3-minute video that explains all of its features well. But with their robo-advisor, you get your portfolio built, monitored, and rebalanced automatically for you, while also having 24/7 live support, and can get started with this with as little as $5,000. What's unique about this compared to other options is that with their standard robo-advisor plan, it allows you to do this with no fees or commissions. Additional side note is that they invest into ETFs, which include their own Schwab ETFs. But like I said earlier, avoiding as many fees as possible is actually extremely important, and if you are looking for a robo-advisor, Charles Schwab might be the place to look at. And something else cool about Charles Schwab is that they also have many in-person branch locations, so if you're someone that wants to speak to another person face-to-face and answer your questions, you could go there if they're in your location. Which, as I mentioned earlier, the links to sign up for each of these companies are in the description below. With that being said, I want to finish this video by summarizing the most important things you need to know about a Roth IRA as you get started. The first thing to keep in mind is whether or not you're even eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. This is also known as the income limit, which means depending on your earned income, if you surpass that amount, you will be unable to contribute. Now, the income limits change as time goes on, but in 2023, if you are single and make more than $138,000 of earned income, you begin to have a reduction on how much you can contribute, and once you hit $153,000 of earned income for the year, you cannot contribute at all, which the same applies if you are married, filing together, but with higher limits. But I will say you are in luck because you could still do this even if your income is above that limit by performing a backdoor Roth IRA, which is something for a whole separate video. But as I mentioned earlier, there are contribution limits, which limits the amount you can contribute into your account. And for the year 2023, if you're under 50, it's $6,500, and if you're over 50, it's $7,500 per year. And as mentioned, the contribution limit is combined between both traditional and a Roth IRA. These are two completely different IRAs, so if you want to use both of them, you're going to have to split the contribution limit between the two as you wish. Think of this like putting $5,000 into a Roth IRA and then $1,500 into a traditional. And the last important topic is their withdrawal rules, because with a Roth IRA, you can actually withdraw any contributions you made at any time, tax-free and penalty-free. This means if you contribute $5,000 into the account, even if it goes up to $7,000, you can still withdraw the $5,000 you contributed. But if you withdraw any sort of earnings before you are 59 and a half, you will be hit with taxes and an additional 10% penalty. And if you have your Roth account for less than 5 years, you are able to withdraw earnings without a 10% penalty fee if you use the withdrawal for a first-time home purchase, 10K max, or any other options if you pause the video. But if you have a Roth IRA for more than 5 years, your earnings will not be subject to taxes if you use the money to purchase your first home, up to 10K max, or become disabled or pass away. That's it. But the thing to be aware of is that once you withdraw this money, you cannot put it back into the account unless you follow extremely strict rules that can get pretty complicated. So to top it all off, you should not, with all caps, withdraw earnings from this account until you are above the age 59 and a half. And that is also only if you've had the account for more than 5 years. The purpose of a Roth IRA is to lock your cash in investments over time so that by the time you are at least 59 and a half, you can withdraw, and that is pure cash with no penalties or taxes at all. With that being said, you now know some of the best places to start a Roth IRA to take a step further with your finances. Don't forget to check out the other videos I've created on Roth IRAs that I believe you will find helpful. And while you're at it, if you're interested to see my own portfolio and how I allocate my own investments, consider joining my Patreon community. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notifications button for future Money Talk content like this.